Good evening. It is 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, March 12th, and I call this open session of the North Clackamas School Board to order. We have a quorum, barely. March is Women's History Month. We invite our community to join us in celebrating the achievements of women and recognize their ongoing fight for equality, opportunity, and justice. And let's see. Oh, first up is community comments, but no community members signed up to provide comments tonight, so we will move on to our native land acknowledgement.
We acknowledge the land on which we sit, in which we call the North Clackamas School District, rest on the traditional and indigenous lands and village sites of the native peoples of the Kalapuya, Chinook, Molalla, and the Clackamas.
We take this opportunity to offer gratitude for the ability to learn
and work and be a community on this land.
And we offer thanks to the original caretakers of this region.
We recognize the historic policies of colonization, genocide, relocation, and assimilation
that affected the indigenous and native families, both past and present,
and that will affect those in the future.
And honor the resilience and revitalization of our indigenous and native communities.
We pay our respects to the elders, both past and present, who have been the stewards of this land throughout the generations.
Board members, please stand for the flag salute. Director Olson, will you please lead the Pledge of Allegiance tonight? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to start with the consent agenda. In the board packet, you will find the consent agenda for this evening's meeting. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved by Director Kemp and seconded by Director Olson. I call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. All right. Next up is our 2024-25 District Financial Audit. I welcome Executive Director of Finance and Business Services, Matt McCara, who will introduce our guest.
Members of the board, good evening. Tonight, I am pleased to present to the board the results of our audit for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2025, in the form of our annual comprehensive financial report, or ACFR. I'm joined tonight by Connor Delaney on behalf of Clear Trail CPAs, who conducted our audit. I'd also like to recognize the work done by our business services team throughout the year, and in particular, our accounting team of Ivan Aguilar Dominguez, Sarah Bailey, Casey Schroeder, and the teams led by Donna Burke. Last year, our audit document received the Certificate of Excellence from the Association of School Board Officials, or School Business Officials, or ASBO, and we have submitted this year's book for that same award. We had a successful audit this year and received an unmodified opinion with no findings, indicating that North Clackamas was in compliance with governmental accounting standards and state and federal regulations. We'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Directors, any questions? No. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're flying through it tonight, everybody. Okay, next up is the proposed November capital construction bond update. and I welcome Chief of Operations Teresa Neff Webster, who will introduce our guests. Nope.
Good evening, directors. We are very excited to be here today to provide an update on our bond process for the past year. I am very grateful to be joined by Cindy Detchen, our Special Projects Administrator. Jeremy Wright from Wright Public Affairs will be joining us, and we have members of the Bond Advisory Committee who will be introducing themselves as they present with us this evening. And we will be going through what we've been doing for the past year. The committee members will be talking through what they did as the committee, what their proposal is for the next bond, and then we'll end talking through our next steps for the next few months. So I will kick us off with a reminder of what a capital construction bond is and what it can be used for. So in the state of Oregon, when it comes to large-scale renovations, builds, and remodels of school property, we use capital construction bonds. General funds are used for operating expenses only. So when we think about needing to do major renovations, we go to our community and we go with a bond proposal. This money can be used to do these reconstruction projects and renovations. The monies cannot be used for any operating expenses, any salaries, or classroom supplies. So when we think about investing in the future of our sites, we ensure by using these bond funds that we are continuing being fiscal stewards of all of the work that has been gone so far. And in that regard, we have been very successful with our history in North Clackamas. Our bonds in 1998, 2006, and 2016 resulted in significant upgrades, renovations, and new builds across our district. The image you see on the screen is a pamphlet that outlines our most recent bond from 2016, all the positive results, many projects that were completed on time and on budget. And one of the things that did occur in our last bond was a long-range facilities plan that meets our state requirements to ensure that every school district has a 10-year plan for our sites. And it summarizes all of our needs and aligns with our district educational and vision and goals. And the process for this was having a building assessment done for each of our sites, which I'll go into on the next slide. And it resulted in that long-range facility plan in 2023. In order to get that long-range facilities plan, a few things had to occur. In 2022, we had a building conditions assessment completed where every asset in our district was evaluated, assets being windows, doors, roofs, anything that is in the building in need. So that created a large list of needs that went into our long-range facilities plan that also had a financial analysis and a stepping stone of how to move forward. Those occurred in 2022 and 2023. In order for us to have live data, though, we realized in 2025 that we needed to add our Incident IQ work order system in the district. And the Incident IQ work order system takes the information from those assessments and it connects it to real-time work orders. An example would be if a boiler was assessed in 2022 that it needed to be replaced in 2028, but our HVAC technicians determined in 2025 it was broken and needed to be replaced. In real time, we now know when I pull a report in 2026 that boiler that in 2022 looked like it would last until 2028 was actually replaced in 2025. So we can have real-time data to really get the accuracy that we need when it comes to prioritizations. And in addition to the Incident IQ work order system, we also did an external safety review of all of our spaces to ensure that we understood categories that we need to address as well. And as we look at the building condition assessments, they were ranked in prioritization of number categories. One being an asset is in excellent condition, it's brand new or operating like it's brand new. 5 being it's failing. Our facilities teams, which is outstanding, is working on a daily and weekly basis to upgrade and support a system that needs to be replaced. So that's a lot of data points that we were given from 2022. And when we look at our categorization when it comes to the next bond, we recognize that we really needed to focus on the highest need categories. So when that when we drill down into that, we're really looking at any asset that was scoring at 5 in critical need or 4, a priority 1, moving towards a critical need. So that allowed us to take those data points and even shorten those categories even more and start to look for themes, which we were able to create and share with the Superintendent's Bond Committee. We have 5 categories that we shared, and I'll go through each category now. Our first category is pretty straightforward. It's roof systems. It's all roofs that are in need of complete repair or replacement. So that's pretty straightforward, our roofs. The second one is a little more nuanced when it comes to thermal comfort and ventilation in our schools. Most of our schools do not have the infrastructure capacity to have a fully modernized HVAC system. However, we know that there are ways with architects and engineers to evaluate the needs in every building to create thermal comfort in the spaces. There's different ways of making rooms cooler and more comfortable in warmer weather events. And as we all know, over the past few years, unfortunately, we are finding more and more hot weather events that are extending into the beginning of our school year, end of our school year, and into our summer programming spaces. So this category would be addressing those individual school sites to create those spaces so the educational environments are appropriate during those high heat spaces. Our next category is critical maintenance, which encompasses a lot of different systems, mechanical systems, electrical, windows, accessibility in particular, elevators, kitchen equipment, parking lots. It also is encompassing the complete renovation of the wooden stadiums at Milwaukee High and Rex Putnam High School. The next category that came up was our safety and security category, which encompasses a variety of security needs, growing on the work that happened in 2016 bond, and also creating standardization for our security cameras across the district, having lock boxes in every one of our buildings. A lockbox is a space for our emergency responder partners to have accessibility, whether it be keys or codes, if in the event that a site is in a lockdown. And there are other safety measures that are included as well. In the safety category, we also included the vape sensor extension of the program. Currently, as you recall, we are in the middle of our vape sensor pilot program at Milwaukee High, and this would include extending that program through all of our high schools. And our final category is technology infrastructure, and really this category, all the former categories need more technology in order for them to work properly. And when we think about network upgrades in technology, I think a lot of folks think about technology as computers, and it does include computers. It also includes all of the systems in a building that are using network capacity. And more, all of the systems are using network capacity. Things like our heating system, our kitchen equipment, our security systems, our camera systems, our Vocera communication devices use network capacity. And if you think about what we used internet for and Wi-Fi for in 2016 compared to how we use it in 2026, we also need to anticipate what we think we're going to be using this for in 2036. So it's not only thinking about how we use our network right now, but how we anticipate using it moving forward. And the final part of our technology category would be our cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is becoming more and more prevalent, a need in school districts across the United States. We've been very lucky in the state of Oregon. There have been significant attacks on school districts where hackers get into a school district data point and they essentially hold the data ransom, which means that they shut down systems and the school districts are not able to operate. We have a strong cybersecurity system right now. We are thinking about, again, what does that look like and feel like in 10 years? Because as we become more robust with our cybersecurity, hackers' ways of getting into our systems is also increasing. So those are the 5 categories that we came up with as a district and presented to the Superintendent's Bond Advisory Committee. And I'm going to hand it to Cindy to talk us through the next steps.
Thank you. I had the pleasure of helping coordinate our Superintendent's Bond Advisory Committee, and I'm going to hand this actually over to them. I have 3 students joining us and one of our community members and a consultant that also worked with us. So they will introduce themselves each at their slide, and I will make sure that their microphone is on so that they can take this over.
Hey, hi guys, I'm Vivian and I was a representative. Is it? There you go. Oh, perfect. I'll start over. Hi guys, I'm Vivian and I was a representative, a Clackamas High School representative on the Superintendent's Bond Advisory Committee alongside 3 other student representatives from the other high schools. And aside from student representatives, the Superintendent's Bond Advisory Committee also comprised of like 10 community members, 3 board members, 4 partner agencies, 10 staff members from across the school district, 9 district leaders, and as well as architect and public affair consultants. And the reason there was such a diverse group of people represented on the Bond Advisory Committee was to ensure that everyone's voice could be heard, everyone had an equal seat at the table, and also to try to ensure that the entire North Clackamas community's needs could be met when proposing the bond. And I'll be handing it over.
Hi, I'm Avienda. I'm a representative of both Milwaukee High School and Milwaukee Academy of the Arts. The goal for the Superintendent's Bond Advisory Committee was mostly to help build and develop a bond package for the November 2026 election. We did this with like district polling, and we just really want to say on the district strategic vision. Yeah, I'll be handing this off to Jalen, another student.
I'm pretty nervous, guys. I'm really nervous. Good job, Vivian. Good job, Avi. My name is Jalen. I attend Agency Nelson High School. So we just want to say that our district bond committee has been meeting since September 2025, which is last year, and we stopped meeting in January 2026. In the first week of January, we committed some community polling, and then on January 22nd, there we go. We met to conclude our work and confirm that our recommendation was ready for November 2026 priorities for the capital construction bond. That's it.
Hi, Jeremy Wright, Wright Public Affairs. We've been working with the district for the last year on helping this bond development process and working behind the scenes on a number of community engagement, but we're going to talk tonight about our key survey findings. Presented this earlier. This is just a reminder of our bond polling. We conducted a poll in early January that the goal of this poll was to help the Bond Development Committee make some decisions around a number of things, whether they're the bond package themselves, price point sensitivity, a whole host of things. So we found that the bond renewal starts with even numbers of support, and then support increases when people understand about the tax impact, especially that if will not go up. We have a strong base of support in our early polling from folks who are closest to our schools, such as parents and younger voters. We did test some higher bond amounts that didn't meet threshold of support, mainly because obviously folks are tax sensitive in this current environment. So our recommendation was to move forward with a renewal of existing tax rate bond, which the Bond Development Committee used as a structure for their work. I think this is second slide, right? As we said, like part of the main part of this poll was also to provide the committee with testing different aspects of priorities of the community writ large of the things they were considering placing in the bond. And so making upgrades to ADA accessibility was very high, as well as doing stuff that we call warm, safe, and dry, the basics of keeping our school buildings functioning, making sure that their classrooms are adequate cooling and heating systems, updating and modernizing training classrooms, and then I skipped over that one before, but security is always crucial in keeping security up to date. So if we kind of summarize the priorities, it would be, making our schools accessible, making sure that cooling in our schools are basically functioning and classrooms are not too hot and cold, making sure that our schools are a secure place to learn and teach, and then updating the things that voters really like to see you doing, which is popular around CTE and additional programs like that. After we described all this to folks, support stayed steady. And I think the challenge here is going to be able to grow that support from what we saw in early polling in January. Happy to take questions on that.
So I'm going to hand it over to our final committee member who's here.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Simona Beatty. I am a proud parent of a second grader at Linwood Elementary School and also a member of the advisory committee. Before I get to what's on the slide, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the immense amount of effort that went into gathering information on the current and future needs of the district's facilities and infrastructure, as well as the gathering of input across this district, across various stakeholders, in order to understand the priorities of this community when it comes to our schools. And with that, I want to thank the district staff for leading that effort and for creating a process that was both thoughtful and engaging, as well as incredibly inclusive. So now to the slide. So from all of that effort, we have put together a $245 million proposed construction bond package for the November ballot, which really does two things that we wanted to make sure that the bond package did. The first being that it respects the financial dynamics of what this community is able to and will most likely support by not increasing the current tax rate. And number two, and probably more importantly, that it addresses the critical needs of the district's facilities and infrastructure so they can continue to provide a safe, welcoming, accessible, and comfortable learning environment for every student in the district, including my son.
Aren't they great? I just love having the committee members here. And thank you to board members who also participated. Your presence there and questions were super helpful in that process. I wanted to also recognize that we did a lot more than just the committee member work. We did a lot of surveying. We did a lot of presentations starting a year ago in the spring. We also held many focus groups of students, marginalized communities. We went to Wichita Center for a day. We conducted interviews in multiple languages as well to bring us here to this point today. So here we are presenting to you leading into March, and then we will go back out with that bond recommendation again to those community members. We have several presentations already scheduled. We continue to schedule those. So you will see those pop up in the months of April and May. We did our first one actually this week, a dry run at Willamette View, which was wonderful. They're always a very supportive community, and they ask some of those hard questions that maybe we haven't thought about. So they're always a good one to start with. And then we will bring all of that data back to you with that proposal and any new information that we gather for hopefully a decision on that ballot for next November. We'll come back to you in June for that. And then we'll break for the summer, but not really, because there'll be a lot of work that goes on over the summer so that we can come back and talk to you about capital construction happening in the school district. So as you know, as I mentioned, what's next? It's those surveys, it's more community presentations, and an ask of all of you as members of your community, elected officials. We need your help in spreading the word, talking to your neighbors, your friends, your business leaders, community members that you come in contact with, making sure they know that we're going to be seeking their input on these surveys, and bring us back any information that you gather as well. That would be really helpful. We're updating our website right now. We'll make sure you have access to all of that information. And as I mentioned before, we will be coming back to you in June for board action. So we are here, all of us, to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you all so much for that presentation. A special thanks to the community members and to the students who helped present tonight. Good work, and you did great, Jalen. Good job. And I can't stop thinking about the Why So Many Jalen's in the NBA song. You know that song? It's running through my head on a loop now. 600 Jalen's in the NBA. Okay. Uh, does anyone on the board have questions for our panel this evening? Paul?
Not really a question, just a thanks to everybody. I was in a lot of the meetings and especially the students. You guys added a lot of good input. It was nice to hear that. It's just like the equity committee and having all the students involved. It's always a breath of fresh air. So thank you all and the other community members as well. It's a lot of hard work. Thanks.
Director Olson?
I just wanted to echo my thanks. It looks like a really thoughtful prioritization process, and it was nice to see that this community survey responses were aligned with the themes, with the prioritization themes. I just had one kind of clarifying question at the after the slide. Oh, I'm not sure what it is. It's 200 in our packet. That says support holds steady in the mid, about 45% after voters learn about the individual projects, with like a 5% margin of error. I think I saw. Is that within the confidence interval?
It's within the confidence. It leads by 5 points. There's a good chunk of folks who stayed undecided throughout the survey, which isn't surprising at this point in time. This was the first time we introduced this subject to them, through a bunch, like, what are you, it's not the, I'll take a survey and what are you talking about kind of thing. So we're not surprised. I think we're always going to want to see in future polling, see growth there, and, move above 50 for sure. But for now, that's typical at this juncture.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would want to see growth in the future.
Absolutely, but that's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, Director Kemp.
Just curious. I don't know how much it can factor into the voting or approval, but since this election is a non-presidential year, I don't know if because we want voters to turn out for this, and I don't know if that is also factored into your predictability and success of the bond passing. I would assume it is, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a general midterm general election is going to be the second highest turnout election in a cycle, presidential being the highest, followed by this. So, I mean, we're looking at probably something in 73% turnout, for a midterm like this. You have the governor's race will be on the ballot, statewide ballot measures, congressional races, a lot of county commission and local city council, et cetera. So I think our biggest challenge, Director, is going to be breaking through some noise there.
Yeah.
We kind of making sure that people vote their whole ballot, from Congress to the schoolhouse type thing. Undervotes a lot of times can be a challenge where people vote the top but don't vote the rest of their ballot and leave something like a school bond blank. So I think the energy this fall will be both education, why this matters, tax impact, it's neutral, and then please vote, vote your whole ballot, and making sure the folks who are most aligned with supporting a school district bond, look for the measure on their ballot.
Yeah, I mean, those are good points, and especially for people that are going to go out and door knock and promote the passage of the bond. That's a good point to vote the whole ballot.
Yeah.
Very good.
And a lot of times people forget to flip it over.
That's right.
Because the measure is on the backside of a lot of these ballots.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good schools means good property values to everybody. Any questions? No? Director McVeigh, I know we have you on the phone somewhere. Yeah.
No, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you
All
for the
right.
presentation.
I have one question, but I'm not sure who best to answer it. Maybe Cindy, maybe you, Teresa. Can you just clarify for me which specific schools are rated critical or priority one, and how the bond proposal will ensure that those highest need projects get addressed first?
Yes, so it's a great question. Thank you. When we think about critical and priority need, we're actually going through all of the schools. So every school has a project that is in the bond commitments that is being proposed, and we are thinking through the assets that are critical and priority one. So every building has, unfortunately, an asset that lands in that critical or priority one in the categories that we've presented. So all of our sites across the district have projects slotted in commitments. We have some, as I said, the camera standardization project and the thermal comfort projects. Those are happening across the board. And then we have specific accessibility projects that will be happening at individual schools. We have specific window, envelope, roof repair systems that'll happen in specific projects. And we will be supporting more information and more education by getting the proposed bond commitments to our website that Cindy mentioned in early April, so that our community will be able to say, school by school, what are the proposed projects that we have listed in the proposal itself.
Thank you. Okay, all right. Well, if there's no more discussion, no more questions, dismissed. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. Okay, all right. Onward to contract award. So next up, transportation routing and dispatch system. And I welcome again Chief of Operations Teresa F. Webster, who will introduce our next guest.
Thank you again. Very pleased to be joined at the table by Kathy Calkins, our Director of Transportation for the school district. And we are here to bring this discussion and action item forward regarding the contract award for the transportation routing and dispatch system. The recommendation to approve awarding the school transportation services routing and dispatch system contract to Zoom Services Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $896,362 for the installation, licensing, training, and support of a new system. The selection of Zoom Services Incorporated follows a formal request for proposals process to establish a modern integrated transportation management solution that occurred this winter. So Kathy and I are going to go through a little bit of a presentation to talk through what it is, the need is, and how Zoom fills that gap. So landing us always in our strategic points when we think about resources and services, and particularly when we think about the Zoom implementation, that third bullet point that's highlighted around creating impactful and sustainable systems, we really think that this system will maximize our resources, strengthening our partnerships and removing barriers and building clearer communication systems between schools, departments, and families. And I want to kind of make sure that we all are thinking about what it is our transportation department tackles on a daily basis. So we serve a geographically large and diverse community spanning 40 square miles. And while our current routing system has served the district, it relies very heavily on manual processes that limit efficiency and real-time visibility. So families today reasonably expect live and timely communications from us, and upgrading our transportation technology allows us to replace our manual work with modern, real tools, making our services safer, more reliable, and more transparent for our families and staff. I'm going to hand it over to Kathy, who's going to walk through some key components around Zoom.
Hello, everybody. So one of the things it does, it replaces our limitations of manual. I can't talk today.
You're doing great.
All right, here we go. Limitations of manual and outdated processes. We had rumors that the current program that we have was going to be replaced. And so it was a scary moment. Our support dropped from this current system. And it was a little scary because we try to call and get some. When we lose a system, we lose everything. We don't know where the students are. We don't know where buses are. It's dire when that happens. And so we started talking about going through an RFP to get another system. And we did that. We had probably 9 different companies come and bid on this project itself, which our current system was one of them, but didn't come up with that current system. They came up with a different system, which is what we knew that they were trying to push on other districts, so they had already tried to push it on us. So another thing that this does, we have 27 different spreadsheets that we use daily to know where our buses are, to know where our students are. They are the schools. There's just all that information. Drivers check in and check out. Our pre-trip, our work order. Work order is something that something needs fixed on the bus. It's Zoom, the tablet, they could do that right on the tablet, and it goes right to the mechanics. And right now it's piece of paper goes into the mechanic. One of the frustrating things about the drivers is they don't know when their bus has been fixed. And I mean, there's just so much that this does. So with these 27 different sheets of paper, we function every day with that. Zoom takes all of this and puts it under their umbrella. And I'm really excited about that. It optimizes routing and resources allocation for greater efficiency. We have a yearly state report we do. Our current software is, I do this report. It's complicated to get in there and get the information I need for what the state needs for us to report. This new system is not complicated. When they did their system, they showed us what their system can do. I sat there and went, I could actually route a route with this system. And I'm not a router, but it's that less complicated than what we're using right now. We have real-time fleet visibility. That's important, provides instant awareness of system-wide operations for both transportation staff and schools. We can actually set up geo fences around areas where we don't want buses to lay over. Because let me tell you, we have 110 buses out there. We have 3 supervisors. We honestly have a lot of trust going on with our drivers. We get reports from parents sometimes that, hey, your driver's right across the street from McDonald's, and so what do they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be parked at a school. And we talk to them as soon as we find those out. But with Zoom, we would be able to see exactly where they're at and stop that right off the bat. It's complicated to send messages to parents with our current system. Zoom would simplify that process for our dispatchers. Safety and accountability, driver supports. This is exciting. It provides drivers with support via the tablets, giving them turn-by-turn navigation directions as they're driving the bus. They don't have that now. I don't know if you guys know how they do routes now. If they don't know the route, or they get a new route, or a standby driver covers the route, they have a piece of paper in their hand and they have the wheel in the other, and it's unsafe. And with the turn-by-turn navigations, it will be amazing, absolutely amazing for them. On slide 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Might have got ahead of myself.
No, you're good.
We are?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yep. So we're talking smarter operations. Zoom uses data-driven smart routing to reduce travel times and design better routes. This program could actually route itself. It could route itself. There's some complexities with that. When I did the references, and they absolutely love Zoom, don't get me wrong, but they still had to have manpower in there to streets that were dead ends that it wasn't catching and things like that. They had to go in there and make sure those were all good, but it's just, yeah. GPS, we talked about that a little bit. I want to go into the parent application with you guys. It will be fantastic for parents to look up where their bus is on the phone, and it's in real time. They showed us how this works when we had the presentation. The bus, little bus goes around the streets, and you get to see exactly where it's at. It's real time. And maybe you do know, but schools get a lot of calls about where their bus is. We get a lot of calls about where the buses are. if, as long as they're using their app, we're still going to get calls. It's not going to stop all the calls, but it sure will help. And knowing if a bus is late, sends notifications if their bus is late. Oh, what else? So if a bus is late, if a student wants to cancel a ride, they can go in their app and cancel a ride for the day. Buses early anyway, they see everything through the app of where their child is. They know, they get a notification when their child steps off the bus. So it's safe. We just had a student just last night that I got a call that was missing. It's 5:45. And when this happens, and it happens 3 or 4, maybe 5 times a year, the school calls us and asks if the student's on the bus. On the big buses, we have up to 84 kids. Does that driver really know that student was on the bus? Because when you're loading 84 kids, you have 7 minutes to load. You're leaving the school and you're going stop by stop, stop by stop. Do you really look and see what students are on that bus? Some of our drivers will say hi to every single student, but still not recognize that student that they're looking for at the time we're calling. Was this student on your bus? Silent. So you know what that means. Probably, I don't know. And so that happened last night. Luckily, the driver knew who the student was. The mom had a GPS on the student so she could, figure out where she was. But with that bus app, she would have known that student never got on the bus. So I think that's it.
Yep, so I'm going to just walk us through our proposed phased implementation. As you can tell, there's a lot of excitement in the transportation department for this change and modernization of our process. And we want to make sure that we do this the right way, not the fast way. So we have broken this into 3 phases. Phase 1 would be starting in 2026 and for the 2026-2027 school year, which would be the system transition essentially from what we currently use into Zoom, which would be configuration, integration, staff training, and the go live for the routing and the tracking. So starting next school year, all of our buses would have Zoom, all of our routes would be created out of Zoom, and we would be able to use the parent app and the school dashboard starting next year for all of our schools. We will put in all of the hardware for the RFID tap cards, which are tap cards where students will be tapping into a bus, which will be starting in phase 2. So phase 2 would be iterating on all of the data that I'm going to walk through in the next slide that we are going to get with Zoom that we don't currently have at a district level. And we will have a pilot program for the tap card activation, which means we will select some schools to have students who tap into the bus and tap out of the bus. So not only will there still be the bus driver welcoming a student will tap on, and if that student does not belong on that bus, it will go red, and the bus driver will know immediately you're not meant to be on this bus. Sometimes the littles, when they're in the first or second week of school, accidentally get on the wrong bus. Sometimes our high school students like to get a free ride to Saban-Schellenberg without really needing to be at Saban-Schellenberg. So we'll be able to know, nope, you're not actually supposed to be on this bus. You can get off the bus right now. And our bus drivers have that support. So that pilot will be phase 2. We'll also be using phase 2 for our data integration. And phase 3 will be our full implementation of all students using the ridership tap. And we will continue to enhance our reporting mechanisms with support from Zoom. And what that support looks like is very intentional. So in the contract we've talked through, we are going to need comprehensive training for our staff to really feel comfortable with not only the back end use with our routers, but also with our bus drivers to feel comfortable using tablets. As Kathy mentioned, currently they're very paper pencil oriented. So we have a very comprehensive training schedule in the contract, both in-person and virtual learning options. Train the trainer is part of our contract with them, ongoing technical support as well. And internally, the operations team will be creating standard operating procedures not only for the transportation team, but also for our schools and families so that they feel comfortable using our apps. So when we have new employees who come into our school buildings, they feel very comfortable in how Zoom integrates into their day-to-day. Again, our staggered rollout would, the goal of that is to minimize disruptions as much as possible. And what does success look like from an operations perspective? Number one, critically, we get more efficient in the way that we're routing our students and we're reducing that manual workload. We really have never in the district had a strong way to track on-time performance of our buses. And what that means is the bus on time picking the students up? Is the bus on time dropping the students off at the school? And when it picks them up at the school and drops them back off in the afternoon. And that can help both for routing purposes, it can help for performance purposes for bus drivers. And frankly, part of our district is really has a lot of construction going on, and we will then be able to know, you know what, we need to reroute this whole thing because it's going to be under construction for the next 6, 8, 10, 12 months. So on-time performance data with Zoom is really going to enhance the day-to-day of the work that the transportation team is doing. And we'll be making data-driven decisions versus assumptions that we sometimes have to make now. One thing that we've talked about that I think is really critical to know is about the main component of this new system from a non-transportation perspective is the safety and visibility perspective. Understanding that we will be using an app for our parents to actually see where their students are is very important. And knowing that that app has the highest safety measures in it is also important, that I wanted to name. That within the Zoom application, it is much like our Synergy program. You cannot, as a member of the public, track our buses with Zoom. You will have significant sign-in neat measures that will have to be taken for you to be able to have access to your student's bus. And in the event of non-custodial situations or other domestic situations, we will track and follow the similar processes that we do with our Synergy program to ensure the only people accessing where the students are the people who are supposed to be accessing that within our records. And then finally, I would also say that the communications component of this is very critical, knowing that we are sharing as much data as possible with the schools so they can quickly answer questions and hopefully reduce the amount of questions. And Kathy did mention this. One of the capabilities of Zoom is for the cancellation of routes. So if a staff or pardon me, a student or a family member knows I'm not going to be taking the bus today, they can actually cancel it real time, and we can track that and start to see if there is a theme. Oh, this student is never taking the bus. Maybe we should reach out to this family and say, are you ever going to be taking the bus this school year? Because maybe we can reduce that route even more. And in the unfortunate event of houselessness or moving homes within a very quick fashion, Kathy's team will work with our student support services to ensure that those systems get to the spaces where the student's new address is. And in closing, what I will say is this really is not only an implementation of a technology support, it is really modernizing and bringing our transportation system to a space for our students and families that is going to be what they deserve. So with that, I'm happy to turn it over for any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Board, does anyone have questions? Yes, Director Kemp.
On the RFID cards, I can see even adults can't hang on to those things. If a student loses his, are they able to get on the bus without one?
Yes, they'll still be able to get on the bus, and that's one of the reasons that we're going to have that pilot program, is to really identify when they lose it. How can the bus drivers will have the ability on the tablet to tap that student's name, so a family member could still track the student is on the bus, even if the tap card isn't working, perhaps, or the student lost it. The bus driver themselves will have the ability to tap on that student's name.
And how easy, I don't know if people keep losing RFID cards, is there some replacement cost at some point that the family would have to bear just
So
versus
right,
the school district?
yes, it's a great question. The cost that's implemented in this contract is the supply for the RFID cards with a 20% increase as well. So there will be a significant inventory at the beginning. And then I think one of the things that the pilot program will suss out is how we maintain those cards, because there will be loss, there will be damage, and we need to make sure that we think about that. And it may be that we think about levels, that maybe perhaps we don't do tap cards with our little students. They can be pushed in by the bus driver. Perhaps we do keep them with our older secondary students. That has yet to be determined, but there's different options that other school districts have. We're grateful have already done this so that we can kind of learn from their processes as well. So there's a few different options for us.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Dr. Olson.
So it sounds like there will probably be a level of like student training and student communication as well.
That's right.
As we're rolling this out, similar like to the Yonder pouches.
That's right.
And so, I mean, it sounds like a wonderful system and really takes us from like analog to digital. And as you were talking, I just remembered my daughter started driving a few months ago and I never called to cancel her route. So I'm good on that.
Yes, Director Kemp.
Will this also be used when buses are used to transport kids to either outside of normal events or sporting events and so on?
Field trips.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be all athletic trips, etc.
And it gives them that navigation piece, which is exciting.
Yeah, that would, and which is always going to be updated to current roads and so on. Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Yes.
So I heard you talk about some accountability with the bus drivers, this, getting there on time. Does this also track their driving performance, like harsh stops or braking, speeding, things like that?
It can.
Yeah.
We're putting in for the telematics function of this, and it sends codes. If a bus breaks down in Seaside, Oregon, it'll send a code. We can look at it right from the mechanics or right from their phone, and it'll say, they can look it up and it'll say what happened. If it's a hose, we have friends, Seaside or whatever, we had it happen in Seaside and it was a hose. So we asked one of the Seaside mechanics, Sarah, could you come and put a hose on the bus? We've had them break down to where if it's not a serious thing, we can have them drive back. So it'll have that telematics function on it.
I just have one question. It sounded from earlier in the presentation like the district wasn't previously tracking performance for the buses. So, how often were they arriving on time? How often were they late, running behind? And because it's a big budget ask, I just want to clarify, how are you going to measure whether this upgrade, which is significant, will actually improve reliability for students and families? And then also, when can the board expect to maybe hear some of the results?
Yep. So it's a great question. And I think previous tracking has been all observational tracking. So we have our trainers who go to, when we hear complaints from community members, jump in if I'm saying this wrong.
No, you're not.
When we have complaints from community members, we have trainers who actually go and observe when buses arrive at schools. They can also observe certain bus stops. So we do have something in place, but it is very observational versus data driven. And so with Zoom, not only will we be able to real time discern issues before there's a complaint, we'll be able to also see best practices, like where there's some gold standards things that are happening, and ask those bus drivers, like, how are you getting here? You have the same route as this person, but you're doing this within the same earlier amount of time or less, or more, I should say. So number one, going from subjective to objective decision-making, I think is going to be really critical. This coming school year, 26-27, is going to be the baseline year so that we know what is the right thing to expect when it comes to different routes, because different parts of our district have different times associated with how long it takes them to get to our schools. And we will be able to immediately start to get that data and bring it to the board. I'm hoping that we can start to have this is how we're starting the year. We anticipate mid-year. This is our trajectory of what this will look like end of the year and then ongoing, so that we can then year to year track how are we doing as well. So not only within a school year, but also year to year if there's any updates and changes to our systems. So I think it's really a system that is going to help Kathy's management team support the drivers as they're doing their very critical work.
I have to say the community is the best as far as, my bus isn't here on time again, and then we go and we research that, and either usually it hadn't been there on time, and then we call the driver in and we let them know. So Teresa's right. We hear from the community. We make observations right now, and this program will give us the reports that we need. I mean, the efficiency, the time that it will save us will be incredible.
Well, anecdotal data is our least favorite kind, right? Director Olson. Okay, and Matt, we can afford this, right? Just a thumbs up from the back. Okay, all right. I just want to make sure. Because, is that all for discussion? Director McVeigh, anything from you, sir?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. In that case, we will move to a motion to approve. Director Kemp?
I move to approve awarding the school transportation services routing and dispatch system contract to Zoom Services, Inc. for an amount not to exceed $896,362 for the installation, licensing, training, and support of a new system.
Okay. Is there a second?
McVeigh, second.
Properly moved by Director Kemp and seconded by Director McVeigh. And because there is significant amount of money involved in this motion, I will call for a roll call motion. Okay. Director Kemp?
Aye.
Director McVeigh?
Aye.
Director Olson?
Aye.
Director Tomtring?
Aye.
Director Wachter is not here. Director Dobson is also aye. So this motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh, some of my favorite people in NCSD are in your department, so I'm happy we could make them happy. Okay, all right. Well, we're just handing out money left and right. So we are now on to next on the agenda is the contract award for student Chromebook lease buyout. I welcome Chief of Operations Teresa Neff Webster once again, who will introduce our guest.
Thank you very much. And I am pleased to be joined by Dr. Leanne Scherer, the Director of Technology and Information Services for our district. And we are here with this discussion and action item for the contract award for student Chromebook lease buyout, recommending the award of contract to Insight Investments for the purchase of 9,262 student Chromebooks for a total cost of $370,480 as part of the district's long-term routine maintenance and refresh program. As a reminder, this was presented at the February 26th board meeting. This lease buyout is the next step in the broader transition of the district to direct Chromebook purchases and is expected to generate repair budget savings as sourcing parts from existing devices is more cost-effective than purchasing new components. And with that, we are here for any questions.
Board. Director McVeigh.
Nope, I saw it last presentation.
Okay. All right, then, since there's no discussion, is there a motion to approve? Director Kemp.
I move to award the contract to Insight Investments for the purchase of 9,262 student Chromebooks for a cost of $370,480 as part of the district's long-term routine maintenance and refresh program.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, properly moved by Director Kemp and seconded by Director Olson. I will now call for a roll call motion. Director Kemp,
Aye.
Director McVeigh,
Aye.
Director Olson,
Aye.
Director Tomcheng. And Director Dobson is also aye. The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. And, all right, anybody else need money? Anybody? No? All right. Okay. Well, that looks like it for our agenda for this evening. So I thank everyone for your time and effort in putting together all this information to share with your board. And I call this Thursday, March 12th, 2026 meeting of the North Clackamas School Board adjourned.
Thank you. Night.